So basically, data analysis Excel is this is the overall training topic. We're going to cover data analysis, business analysis, the comparison between two, the roles and responsibility between two. Then we'll work on something like dashboard, a kind of review of PMI's project management information system. That's what the dashboard is normally labeled as. We'll look at good number of Excel tools and tricks basically to do the data analysis on a given for a given problem, for a given solutions. Then we'll also dwell into MySQL, SQL reporting to understand how the data retrieval works for data analysis in a day-to-day level. And then a couple of reporting tools and techniques, we'll review it. And then we'll basically continue our journey on learning Excel as a data analysis primary tool. Let's start with what is a data analytics. Data analytics is a process. The process of collecting or extracting the data and building some meaningful insight from the data, such as hidden patterns, market trends, customer preferences. This is done by studying and analyzing the produced data. Now let's review these definition. Here we are trying to understand how that data is being collected, how that data is being extracted, how that data is being analyzed for a meaningful insight, such as hidden patterns. So like let's say if you have a data of sales of your factory, let's say you have a factory of selling ball pens, and you're trying to understand the sales data. So you might trying to understand these data region wise, like St. Louis region, Kansas region, and other regions as per your factory outlet or distributorship areas. Now here I'll try to understand where I'm selling the pen, where I'm selling the maximum pen if the price is uniform throughout this region. But for a strategic reason, I might increase price of these pen in a particular region because there's a more demand. And this demand and supply is a kind of balancing act we do in our business. For such acts, we do check out a basic mean, median, mode, or overall trend in how these sales are being conducted, or how this sales has been strategically enriched for a couple of regions, and then we might pull out from a couple of regions as we couldn't attain the basic minimum sale to recover our cost. And these things do happen. An insight like these we can collect from a good data analysis. And this is how we're going to learn how to do this in step-by-step process. But first, we collect the data, we retrieve the data. Most probably, the data is given to us, and we retrieve the data or convert it to the Excel and then work on it in terms of analysis. And this is the maximum probability of using these type of analysis from Excel. Okay, so this is a kind of overall you can say definition of data analytics. Data analytics is a process. So data analysis is termed as the process of extracting meaningful insight from a data, such as hidden pattern, market trend, and customer preferences. Well, all these three have a big area of work within them. Hidden patterns, try to understand what type of patterns the data is showing us in terms of regional sales. So where I'm making the maximum profit, this profit can be from selling lesser number of pen, more number of pens, and so on and so forth. Market trends, in terms of markets, if they like something like red pen, blue pen, black pens, well, we'll adopt to those trends and try to increase our business in a proactive manner. Then the customer preferences, this again can be go with the pen color, can be go with the pen shape, even can be go with the pen aesthetics, like the pen with a cap, pen with a click, and so on and so forth. Again, depending upon the region, depending upon the consumer behavior, we might tweak and turn our product accordingly to achieve maximum business, maximum profits. And this is how we're going to apply data analytics to help the business in a progressive manner. This is done by studying and analyzing the procured data. So whatever data you've retrieved or procured or extracted from some database, from some Excel sheet, from some CVS file, and we're going to learn all these elements within our data analysis track. Any confusion so far on data analytics? Is it easy enough?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. It is easy.
This is just definition. So we are trying to understand the components of data analytics first, and then we'll do on hands-on
Ravindraji,
practice.
I would just like to add here something
Please, please.
to this. Yeah. So first of all, a warm welcome to this session today. And we are starting with the basic understanding of why data is important. So try to understand Excel being one of the easy to use and most widely used tool in industry, across industry. Okay. It's not only in IT. It is used in, you name it, in every, like in maybe in hotel management and, hospitality management overall, medical, manufacturing, fashion, every industry. It's a very handy tool. You understand handy? It's like so easy to use. So most of the major data, it's still widely managed by Excel. Okay, that's why we are, people might ask why we are learning Excel. You should ask rather, why Excel when we talk about data analytics, because it is so widely used, it's so easy to use, and it gives you so much of ample opportunities to create different diagrams, charts, reports, pivots. I mean, what not, right? So that is why we are here to learn data analytics using Excel. Because first of all, when you look at it, if you go through some examples, I'm pretty sure at the end of the session, once Ravindra ji and myself explain you some of the concepts and hands on, you will become, I mean, very much comfortable. That's our guarantee, or our, I would say, confirmation from our end, because it's so easy to use. And nowadays many of the kids are also using Excel and PowerPoint and Word from school, right? So maybe as a person you never used it, but right now if you have kids, if you have any younger people at your home, like maybe your siblings or other family members, I'm pretty sure you must have used it. Is there anyone out of you who has not seen or worked on Excel yet? I'll be very happy if you could answer yes, no. Anybody has not seen Excel, not worked on Excel properly? Yes.
No,
Anyone?
ma'am. Already, yeah. No, ma'am. Already we worked on it.
Yes. So you know how Excel looks like, rows and columns and grids. But then we knew very, thank you so much for answering, Jaya. So we only knew some of the features, but now we will try to look at it from a different angle, right? That is a data analytics angle. Like if I have thousands of records, how I make sense of it, out of it, right? You have data, but then what you do with it, it's more important, and that is why we are getting into it. Okay, so everybody's with me on this, all good? And I'll just request Ravindra ji, because see, he's been trying to share like why, how, but we have to know the crisp, like why are we here, why, many times people ask why Excel, because Excel is the king in the market when it comes to data analytics. Me being in data quality as of now, trust me, we work so heavily on Excel. I mean, the other day my Microsoft Excel was not working. I was actually stuck because there's so many things that I have to convert into Excel. I have to get out of Excel. I have to mix report out of Excel. So this is the case with almost all people majorly working in data. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. Ravindra ji, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. It's really great insight. We have this thing planned after a few slides to understand Excel, the fitment to the analytical world. And as madam have clearly explained, Excel being used in the industry for last 60, 70 years. We have started with something like Lotus Notes, which is one of the first spreadsheet, tool which we were used in terms of doing the analytics or doing the basically observance of certain data elements. So that's why spreadsheet is basically or the yeah.
Requesting everyone to go on mute, please. Raja, your mic is open. I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Please go on mute, guys.
So
Thank
here,
you.
thank you. So here we are looking for a kind of spreadsheet like tool where we have rows and columns, and we try to extract, try to analyze data through this spreadsheet like world. And nowadays, as Excel have increased in terms of functionality, in terms of addressing the spread of the data types, catalogs and all those things, that's why Excel is the most favored tool amongst North American and Canadian market. So here, that's why Excel is the prominent first choice of tool for data analytics. And as we normally seen, it's free. It's normally came with the laptop, desktop, whatever you purchased. Normally you get a really good cost in terms of licensing cost for these Microsoft products. Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Presentation. These are the most used tools across the globe. And that's why Excel is the first choice for the data analytics. Okay. Now, as we've seen how to, basically the data analytics is defined, let's move on and try to understand what is the data, or rather first we'll throw a light on data life cycle. What is a life cycle? In terms of life cycle, we human, we born, we are basically nurtured by our parents, we learn, we educate, we normally we get younger, we might find a partner, we might got into the job or business, and then we basically earn. Again, the reproduction cycle goes on. This is the life cycle of a human. But when it comes to data, we need to understand the life cycle to analyze data. So what is the life cycle? The first step, basically understand the requirement. Again, this is independent of data, but first you should understand the target, you should understand the propositions or the requirements of the business, what they want in terms of why we are being shared this data with, what type of analysis do we have to perform. All these things are depend on the business requirement. And this is what we need to first understand in terms of starting the analysis of data. Then we'll move to the data acquisition. So we might need, to acquire the data from some place like a database server or like a cloud storage, or even, other storages as well. Like you might be given a hard drive or external hard drive to be connected to a computer and basically do the analysis on the data available there. And these are the normal, few instances, example which I've shared with you in terms of how data is normally acquired. So in some organization, there could be a database server access given to you, and you might have to run some SQL query. In some organization, there might be a cloud storage access given to you, and there could be Excel file or CSV file or a text file which we need to grab and download and machine and start the analysis. So after understanding business requirement, the next step is basically acquire data, or data is supplied to you. Then we start processing the data in terms of trying to understand the data. Is it sufficient? Do we have to have certain additional element of the data? Is the data fine? Is it corrupted or not? Is it the clean data? Do we have the necessary unique points for the data? We'll come across all these properties of data in a few slides, but we'll try to understand the life cycle first. So what do you mean by data, and how do you process this data in terms of analytical terms? So here we acquired the data, we start processing the data, we start understanding the data in terms of its cleanliness, completeness, and so on and so forth. And then we explore the data. Here, what we do, we try to understand what is the relevant data for a given business requirement. Like if you're building something like student mark sheet, you don't need student address. If you're building something like sales data, you don't need the product product analysis for that matter. So you clean the data in data exploration, in the data processing, depending upon the process defined at your organizational level. Every organization have a clear-cut, disciplined data analytical method given to the data analyst. Where to take the data from, what do you mean by cleaning, how to create a different copies of your acquired data and then work on it, rather than corrupting the original data file which is received by you or retrieved by you. In such scenario, I might create a copy of an Excel sheet and start working on that. This is a normal practice, normal discipline I'm sharing with you. In couple of organizations, there could be some conversion required from a text file to CVS file, or CVS file to Excel file, and so on and so forth. All these steps are concerned, and all these steps are covered in data processing and data exploration. We'll have a look at a kind of good image, which is kind of a best answer for what do you do in analysis, or how do you perform analysis, how do you execute data analytical steps. Okay, but here we are trying to understand the generic steps in terms of a layman's knowledge. So here, I believe you got a clear idea of data processing and data exploration, and there are good number of gray areas in between. And then there's something called modeling. What do you mean by modeling? After cleaning the Excel sheet, you try to rearrange the Excel sheet as required by the business to perform the actual analytical terms, to rearrange the data so that it can represent whatever the inference you want to pull out from that data given to you. And this is what the modeling is all about, restructuring the data according to the business requirement. Here, what we try to do, we are trying to find out the actual inference out of data, like in student mark sheet, how many students have been passed, how many students have been failed, which is the most scoring subject, which is the subject student might be find it challenging to perform on, and so on and so forth. So these creating business like inferences is what we normally referred as modeling, and this is done after cleaning realignment. Then the deployment, or sometimes it called as a presentation. So you include these results in your PowerPoint slide, in your way the company want you to present. Good number of company, they just let you present within Excel itself rather than copying and pasting it to the PowerPoint. But yes, we are going to learn how to present data in terms of PowerPoint, or how to generate reports out of Excel, which can be shared across, which can be published in the cloud or internet pages. And this is how we're going to learn how to basically complete the life cycle for a data analysis. And this is how there are 6 steps given here. Normally, we formulate our answer with a 5 steps, which is a kind of generic industry standard, and I'll share that image with you shortly. But anybody have any challenge in understanding any of these steps? Again, this is quite preliminary. We're trying to understand the easiest possible way in the layman terms, in terms of a data life cycle for an analysis process. Anybody have any questions so far?
No.
Okay, sure. Let me move ahead. Now let's understand what is data, right? Because data is an integral part of the data analysis, and we normally perform analysis on a data. So data refers to a facts and a statistics collected together by for reference or analysis. Now, data is a singular entity we normally refer to, like name of the student, like mark on a particular subject. So maths marks of Ravindra, as simple as that, and so on and so forth. So data refer to facts and statistics, the best students or the student with maximum marks acquired. Now we are moving into the inference world, where we are generating statements with a refer to a set of data, where I'm comparing one student marks with other and trying to generate an inference, which student is better, which student have acquired maximum marks, and so on and so forth. Similarly, in sales process, we might see which product is being basically acquiring in numbers, in terms of we are selling maximum number of products, and that can be my flagship product. I try to basically do better in terms of that product marketing and sales, and so on and so forth.
Sorry
So
to interrupt. Sorry
yeah,
to
please
interrupt.
go.
So in general, data could be measured, data could be defined as an information. It need not be a number, or a numeric information, or numbers to be compared, or numbers, sales value, or something like that. It is an information it could be an image, or it could be a textual data, or it could be numeric data, or any data. It's an information in general that could be collected and stored, any type of information.
Very correct, ma'am. That's a kind of next step of understanding data. First, we'll start with the basic data in terms of name, number. So there could be alphanumeric, there could be image, and so on and so forth. So there are a movie file, there could be some sort of a data capturing process, and all those things. But data, to understand, or if interviewer asks you a question, what is data? Here, this is the definition you can share with him, which is simple enough. So data refers to facts and statistics collected together by reference or analysis. That's what we are concentrating, and then we'll go to a deep dive into that. So first, collected and stored. So data has to be collected and stored in a digital format, to be precise. Here we are looking at a cell in our Excel sheet, which is normally referred as a singular data entity. Then data can be as a measured thing, measured in the sense so much distance have been traveled, my height is so much in number, my marks are so much in numbers, and so on and so forth. So data is also measured, data is analyzed, compared, data is reviewed, observed, so that when it comes to analysis of it, I'll compare data, like say the marks of the student compare with other students, and so on and so forth. The data can be visualized in terms of graph, chart, pivot tables. Here we are looking at a pictorial form of data where I'm trying to understand how the data is growing, how the data is being significant in my business to apply to my business solutions, business problems, and solve those problems. So data can be used as a solution to my business problem as well. And it can be visualized. It can be analyzed with observation. So when you look at the data, when you try to compare marks of your, VAR with other students within your VAR's class, you can clearly understand where my, kid stands in terms of hierarchy, in terms of, performance, and so on and so forth. So these performance hierarchy are inferred out of those set of data where we call it visualization, analysis, comparison, and there are various different names attached to it. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions? Okay, now let's move on further.
Ravindraji, one second. Guys,
please.
we understand that this might be something new or different. So you might not have any thoughts on this, but we'll encourage you to, write down your doubts later in a day or whenever you watch this video again and come back with your queries in the next session, right? Because your response, your reactions, your doubts will generally gives us understanding that, how much you are learning, or is there any more explanation required. So it's fine if you don't have any doubts as of now, but feel free to ask any questions related to the topics, please. That will be really, we'll be glad to answer them and to understand that, where are we going with the topic. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, Ravindraj, over to you.
Just to share a practical overview of it, let me let me show these things, similar thing on Excel sheet. So let me start my Excel. Let me share this thing. With Excel. Oh, come on. Yes, when you start Excel, you'll see something like this screen, right? Of course, I'm using dark background. So you might see dark in the background. There could be a white in the background, or whatever color your Windows theme uses, right? So this is the Excel. There's a blank worksheet. You can take a tour. You can have a drop-down list or a tutorials given by Microsoft. There are formula learnings, and there are more templates. Templates in the sense you can basically use a pre-formatted Excel sheet. This table-like looking spreadsheet is called a sheet. Let me open one blank workbook or work group. So this is basically a blank work group. I have hidden the various bars and charts available here. Oh, let me bring back to them. Okay, so this is my this is what they call ribbons or menus. Now in the Excel, you normally start with something like this. Now whenever you call, we are talking about data, a singular data is an intersection of columns and a row. Now when I say A1 is my first cell, and when I type let's say start with a number, when I type 33, that's the content of a cell. So a cross section between column and row is a cell. And this is how we understand data in its unit format. Does that make sense to you? Anybody have any question in understanding these? Okay, let me move forward. Normally in Excel, as a universal thumb rule, I normally have a record in my horizontal row. This is my row number 1. and I can have 33, I can have Ravindra, Guruschools, US, New Jersey, and so on and so forth. So these are something I have typed here, something I have, rather you can say collected data, or I have created a record. So 33, Ravindra, Guruschools, US, New Jersey. I can type the complete New Jersey, I can have just NJ as a representation of that state. Now this is how the record is formed, where records are normally on a horizontal scale and on a vertical scale. I can have categories or the types or types of data. So this is a number can represent, you can go with age, you can go with height, weight, whatever you want to do. This must be the name. And whenever you get a data, the data is normally categorized or typecasted. So you have something called header row. So normally the first row is header row. And again, this is a normal thumb rule. There could be 6th row as a header row or 10th row as a header row, depending upon the data shared with you, or there could be repetitive header row. So every 10th or 20th or 30th row can be a header row. Depending upon the data shared with you, these things do happen in the real world. So here in the header row, I might put as a serial number, or it can be mentioned there as a serial number. Then this can be first name, this can be company name, this can be country name, this can be state name. So something like that. So these are the categories. So whenever I clean the data, I can delete couple of categories if they are not needed to analyze my data. And this is how we process our data. We'll look at bigger samples in actuals. I'm just giving you a warm up in terms of understanding Excel. Have everybody done these things? Have everybody know these things, like how I'm doing in a step-by-step fashion?
Yes, sir.
Good. And let's take it as a homework. Please create some sort of a address or address book for your friends, for your colleagues, for your relatives, whatever you want to feel comfortable in. At least have 7-6 rows of data, right? So how do you have address book? I'll have I'll have different format for them. So I'll add a sheet. If you go down, you can just click on this plus sign and add a new sheet there. Okay, so that this is my sheet number 2. I can rename it as an address book. Okay, now this is my address book. Now I'll start with serial number, then first name, middle name, no sorry, last name, then address 1. So address 1 can be your flat, suite number, house number, street name. Address 2, address 2, address 3. Then we have city, state, and zip. If I'm doing only for my North American relatives, I'll have, otherwise I can have country also. Now again, this depends on the way you want to formulate your address book. And this address book can be a really good reference point throughout your life to understand, and of course the phone number. So let me add a phone number. So how do you insert a column? You just go there, like I want to insert a column in before E. So I'll click on E. You can see the pointer change to the down going arrow. Could you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Now you right click with the other button of mouse and say insert. Now you have inserted a column. Now here I can say phone number. Okay. Now this way I can increase my column width as well as suits to my need, right? Again, okay, I have given address. I have to give address 1, right? Yes. So this is the way normally the table has been created. So table, this is my header row. I might want to color it with something like this is the color fill bucket, and I'll choose something like this. If I want to bold these letters as an header row, so what I'll do, I'll click this B icon. So Control B, or I can just click on here and they'll putting bold. How do you change the alignment? These are the alignment options given here. Center, these are the horizontal alignment, these are the vertical alignment. So when I do this, they'll all get center aligned. Could you see, if I increase the length width of the column, they are still center aligned. And this is how you formulate your records. This is how you formulate your data. Again, data is a single cell. So like first I might start Ravindra, phone number, anything. It normally comes as this in terms of a bracket, and then address one, like this might be my 316 LAUREL Street, UNIVERSITY TY, University City, Maple, St. Louis, state is Missouri, zip is 63143. Oh, sorry, 63105. It's changed, it's updated. So this is how you can create your address book. Now please take it as a homework. Try to create at least 6-7 rows, and then we'll perform some operation on this data on this sheet. Now this is what we call Excel sheet. Each Excel sheet is a table as it's referred to the database, and multiple Excel sheet can be connected together as a relationship model, and we'll learn that as well. But first we need to create some data sheets which we know and we normally analyze on that. So please take it as a homework. I'll also mention in that in my minutes where what type of homework you need to do. So please do something like this as a homework, and you can refer to this recording also. And this is what we normally call as a hands-on practice. So the more you practice, the more you understand the Excel as in software, Excel as in product. Does anybody have any query, any difficulty in understanding these?
Yes, I have a question. So you have added one record
Right.
and you have a header. If I have to automate this header every 10th row or every 15th row or something like that, so how would you automate the header?
Madam, let's not jump ahead. Okay, let's take it step by step, because see, I know we're going to cover that header repetition. Even you can how to have headers repeated in different sheet and all those things. This is what we normally call as a referencing, and we'll do it, don't worry. But let's take it a bit slower, right? Because everybody else has to join our learning bandwagon. Okay, could we do that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So let's as a first step, as an initial step, let's try to understand the meaning of a cell, the meaning of a unit entity of data, then meaning of a record. So record is a set of data. So you have number of data elements included in the record. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So these are the 11 data cells, data elements, which come making it a record. And I can copy this record very easily. Like I'll do these things and I'll just pull this what you can say box, and the records getting updated. But if you can see, these numbers have been increased and these numbers also been increased. Okay, so when you talk about these data auto increments, this is what we call auto increment. So Excel has some inbuilt functionality, like Harini ma'am have just said, incrementing the row in every 10th column. So something like that we can do in an automated way. And this is how you normally generate data. But data analysis normally don't generate data. We normally use the data which is shared with us. But yes, we're going to learn those data creation thought processes as well. Just to give a hint, all the numerical numbers have been incremented one step, one number at a time whenever you do this auto increment. This is what we call auto increment, right? I don't want to share too many things with you right now, because we should start with the basics. We should start with basic using Excel as an address book or address book sheet or address book table, as we normally refer it in a database terminology. And then here we have two tables. Sheet 1 is one of my table and address book sheet is my other table. Now these two tables can be interlinked, can be referenced internally. How do I do it? Simple way. I'll say equal to here. Where is equal to on your keyboard, and then you click on this sheet and click on whatever you want to copy it from here to there. So Guruschools got copied. I can copy a complete column. I can copy a particular data element, a data cell as well. Again, let's not jump the wagon. Let's just practice to create an address book, and then we'll do some numerical operations on that to understand how do you apply numerical operations on those things. Okay, and I would request to your representation in terms of doing this thing on your own, so that you know how it's done, and I'm there to guide you in a step-by-step fashion. Any questions so far? We are progressively going to learn. Let's not jump to learn or to basically process these things in a fast forward mode, because everybody should understand. Every nth student should be able to perform these hands-on exercises. Again, alignment, if this is really troubling you, you can select this cell and you can do it center align and so on and so forth. Again, play around with the Excel and share your thought process in our next session, and we'll try to learn more in a step-by-step progressive fashion. Let me take back to your our presentation. Yes, so we have understood what is data, how data is being collected, generated, measured, analyzed, and visualized. Come on. Okay, then let's move on. Then let's try to understand data as a scientific definition. So data in US, they normally call as data. In Europe, there could be some different pronunciation. Let's not go there. These are individual facts and statistics or items of information, often numeric. So yes, most of the time we work on a numerical data, because numerical data can be processed easily. And we're going to see some sort of a categorization of data, how you normally apply a kind of numerical scale to even qualitative data. Let's try to understand that as well. In more technical sense, data are a set of values of qualitative or quantitative variables about one or more persons or objects. With datum, a singular of data is a single value of single variable, and this is what we normally refer as a cell. So datum is a cell. Please remember that. There could be an interviewer who might ask you, what do you mean by datum? So datum is a singular of data, one cell content, a single form or singular data. Although the term data and information are often used interchangeably, this term has distinct meaning. So data and information is different. Let's try to understand how. In some popular publication, data are sometimes said to be transformed into information when they are viewed in a context of a post-analysis. So when I talk about marks of Ravindra, now I'm referring to cells here, the first name as well as the marks cell for a particular subject. Let's say maths marks of Ravindra, and then the number could be 65. So this way, I'm referring the cells in a context. And this is how we normally do the analysis. We do observe data. And that's how we generate information out of multiple data cells or multiple datum. And that's how that information is labeled as a actual valid information to be used in day-to-day business. However, in academic treatments of subject, data are simply units of information. So whenever you're trying to decompose information in a digital format, you might need to convert into many data spaces. So Ravindra acquired 65 maths in marks. And this statement, this information can be converted to the three element of data: Ravindra, subject name, marks. And then you can add more data element as well, like which exam, the exam date, and so on and so forth. It can be really a progressive way of representing data in a context. Again, the data is a singular element normally, which is normally referred as a datum. A record is a set of data which we normally consider, which we normally collect, which we normally retrieve from our database for analysis. And again, we normally create information based on the data analyzed by us as a data analysis. The information is in a statement format. Like Ravindra have acquired 65 marks in maths in so and so exam conducted on so and so date and so on, and then the whole 9 yards of it. And this is how we present this information to the business. So all in all, analysis is basically understanding the data and creating some information to help business grow, to build strategies for the business. Does that make sense to you? Anybody have any confusion as far as data and the context of data goes?
Okay.
Okay, good, no problem. Now let's try to understand the categories of data, because we're going to analyze data. So we need to understand what are the different categories or types of data. So one can be qualitative and quantitative. And let's try to understand the difference between these two. Qualitative can be something like good, better, best, worst, and so on and so forth. Quantitative can be actual numeric, other data represented by numbers. Qualitative can be data represented by characters or alphanumeric. These are the two basic difference. Again, why we are going to learn this difference? Because whenever we discuss data elements, whenever we discuss data, we need to label it in terms of a particular category, particular bucket of data. So that's why we are learning these things called qualitative data and quantitative data. The further bifurcation we'll learn on after a couple of slides, but let's try to understand first these two only, qualitative and quantitative. So qualitative data can be good, bad, better. As their quality, they are showing the quality of the data. So let's try to understand an example. Maths mark. So when you talk about maths mark, anything above 50 will be good. Anything above 75 will be called as a distinctive mark. Anything below 35 can be fail marks. Anything in between 35 to 50 can be okay marks. This is the standard thumb rule formulated by quite a few good number of educational institutes. And this is how we qualitative that data, or we qualify the data according to the level of numbers. But when you talk about quantitative, there you actually mention the number rather than being qualitative. Whenever you share information, most of the time we need to share qualitative information rather than quantitative information. Because sharing quantitative information, the maths mark acquired can be anything between 0 to 100. But when you talk about qualitative, I can categorize, I can compromise, I can compare the elements in a much better format, or I can have bigger set of values addressed with these records or categorized on a qualitative manner more effectively than quantitative manner. Quantitative explanation are more lengthy or more numeric in nature. That's why I normally go with qualitative categorization of data. Again, this depends on the solution and at hand the requirement you are required to be processed. And that's how we apply these different strategies of data categorization, qualitative wise or quantitative wise. Again, we're going to do a good number of practice on this. So please don't worry if you couldn't recall or couldn't, um, digest these things. Does anybody have any, questions on these? Okay, let me progress. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask at any time, or you can share these questions via WhatsApp as well. Okay, let me move ahead. Now let's try to understand what type of groundwork are we looking for to achieve data analysis or to analyze data as a process. First, we need to understand the business requirement. What needs to be done? Do the business asking us for who is the best student in your class, who have acquired maximum marks, or which are the students who are basically having some challenges in understanding the subject, how we can basically get them to an average level at least, or how we can help them in a way where they could understand the basic minimum terminology of these sessions and so on and so forth. So like that, first of all, we need to understand the requirement, we need to understand the business problem, then we'll move to basically understanding the data given to us or retrieved by us in relevance with the business problem. And then we might define the data in terms of what all we need to build these solutions. We gather the data requirement, we try to correlate them with the actual data given to us. Then we might apply processes like cleaning, alignment, and discovery of data. In case we are in a shortfall of data, we might request again, get the data retrieved again, and so on and so forth. Then we perform the data analytics. Here, we try to understand the solution versus the data given to us and the linking in between. So if the business is asking you to share the insight of a sales in St. Louis region, so you might share insights like number of red color pens sold, number of blue color pens sold, number of other color pen sold within a given region, and this is what we normally call as a sales data analytics. And then we might represent in terms of number of red color pens sold at so many outlets, in total 358, something like that. I'm just sharing a raw number with you. Same thing with the other pens. We normally build a data presentation in terms of how I've sold which color pen or which color pen are maximum in demand. And if you have better demand, I'll make sure I will supply them with the full required quantity to acquire more business day by day. This is how I do address business need in terms of the data which is actually showing us the movement on the ground, or actually how business is doing at a ground level, at a shop level, how much pens are being sold for a given shop, with a given shop, which color is best in demand, and so on and so forth. Then I might build a solution based on the data elements, based on these business need. So there might be some good number of stores where I might have sold big numbers in terms of black or blue pens. Now that can be in the University City in St. Louis area. Now here, what I do, I'll normally proactively supply more number of pens to be sold than any other outlet, because that's the flagship store where maximum number of pens are being sold. And that's how I built business solution based on the data. I'm just basically trying to share the thought process of a business in terms of how data analysts help to grow the business in a progressive manner. Then I might use different tools and techniques of data. So what are different tools and techniques of data in terms of data gathering or continuous data collection process? Like on a daily basis, I might request them, all the store, to send me an SMS or an email with number of pens and type of pen, category of pen, and number of pens sold with that category, so that I can understand there are more demand for a black pen or a blue pen or a red pen, whatnot, and which are the store in more demand. So there could be a store where They required more red pen than the blue and black in terms of, let's say, olive area in St. Louis. And this way, I normally align my tools and techniques to support business, to enhance business. And then I might do this reporting to the senior top boss saying that data analysis have helped us to build better business, to acquire better business by these numbers, proactively working on these supply, supply matrix, or the way we supply to the stores proactively in terms of having enough storage, enough stock to sell the pen without getting exhausted, and so on and so forth. So this way, these are the few steps. A typical data analysis helps the business in a progressive manner, and this is what we do in our day-to-day life. So if somebody asks you what data analyst does, they does kind of understanding the data, understanding the business problem, understanding the requirement. They clean, align, discover the data in terms of actual need of the business solution. Then we do analyze in terms of generate English-like information, strategic statements to help business to grow. Then we also try to address the business need in a progressive manner. So we are flexible in nature. We build some solutions based on the data to strategically align business growth. We acquire good numbers. We have acquired good numbers of tools and techniques to support this analytical process. Like we can use smartphones, we can use Microsoft Excel as a tool to basically collect the data, build this database as far as the analytical processes goes. And then we create these reports and we present this report to the top bosses, to the client, to the reporting officer, so that the business can be helped with the actual data which we have collected, which we have shared with us as well. Does that make sense to you? Anybody have any questions on how to achieve data analysis, or what are the bits and pieces of data analysis in terms of a typical data analysis employee? Anybody have any questions so far? Any topic which you couldn't understand or something like that? We're going to do hands-on experience on all these individual elements. Okay, so don't worry about that. But first, we'll create some data to analyze. Like I told you, we'll create an address book. So our initial data analysis will be on the address book, and then we'll move slowly, steadily to a more business-like analysis in terms of how do you do actual data analysis on the job in a progressive complexity manner. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions at this moment? Prerna ma'am, do you want to add anything to this? Okay, let me move forward. Am I audible? Could you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Let me move on. Now let's try to understand what we do in terms of a data analysis as an employee, as a contractor or whatnot, right? So here we'll try to understand the job roles. We try to understand what basically expected out of data analytics. So let's try to understand the first here. Act as a data custodian or a controller in terms of whatever data given to you or the data retrieved by you, you will be a custodian or a controller. So you store the data on your laptop, on your cloud shared space, or however the company have been instructed you to do, but you are the custodian of a data which is given to you. So data should be secured enough, data should be controlled enough to share with any other team member or any other colleague of you working in the company. So you are the custodian and controller of the data. So you manage the data in terms of your analytical needs. You consume the data in terms of your analytical need. Create report templates and data gathering tools. Here, creating report or presenting the inference of your analysis can be eased out, can be worked out with a better efficiency with the templatization. Pardon me. So we're going to learn how to create some good templates in terms of data representation. There are really good pictorial way, there are really good a colorful way to present your report to the top boss. And this is what we're going to learn. The data gathering tools in terms of how to gather data, how to collect data, or how to basically retrieve data in some scenario where I might need to run some SQL query, which we're going to learn in terms of retrieving data from a database server, and so on and so forth. Then we might do some analysis in terms of types of analysis like trend analysis, align the client planning team for facility management. So here, if a client is basically working on a facility management kind of work, you might create a trend analysis in terms of how these facilities have been occupied or free, how we can use repetitive facilities for our day-to-day business, so that we don't have to increase the storage space, but still we can increase your business. And this is what we normally call as an organic business growth. So rather than purchasing better space for your storage, you normally reuse the storage space after an entity have been vacated their storage space. So you re-rent them to other parties. And this is how you can basically guide the business to acquire more profit on a day-to-day basis. This is just an example of a facility management system. And then combination with the trend analysis. So there are such many types of analysis which we're going to learn in terms of helping particular businesses deliver output files and report and dashboards. So whatever you do in terms of analysis, in terms of good looking Excel sheet tables, you normally shared with the authorities, and then you might find file reports as well in terms of how you acquired there, a step-by-step procedure and the output of it in a PDF format or in a Microsoft PPT format. And then there are dashboards. Dashboards are basically web pages which collect data from a target. Now this target can be an Excel table. So whatever you give in terms of your analysis, you include in that Excel table where these dashboard or the PMI system collect the data from that automatically. You don't have to tell them, or you might enter your data into a dashboard entry form on a web page as well. Again, depending upon the organization you work for, how they create their dashboard or PMI system, you need to comply with them. So either you might copy some Excel row on a web page, and the web page will internally update the PMIs or update the dashboard accordingly. Dashboards are basically kind of a reporting tool for the top boss, like the CEO, CTO, MDs of the world, which keep track of this dashboard almost on a daily basis to understand the progress at a ground. Progress in terms of a project, product, solution, support, whatever your organization is doing in terms of their basic business need. This is like the dashboard is. Now my St. Louis manufacturing plant have produced 500 pens today of a red with a cap and so on and so forth. This can be goes on a dashboard as a pens produced, color red, number of pen produced, and ready with the warehouse in whatever factory you're talking about. So like this, the business can arrange or can guide the distributor to pick up this pen from that outlet. And this is how I normally run my business on a day-to-day basis, by looking at a dashboard. If there are lesser number of pen being manufactured, I might add another manufacturing plant to support those demands. And this is how we support the demand with the help of data analysis on a day-to-day basis. As a data custodian and a controller, it's my duty to maintain the data integrity of the data which is in my custody. And I normally do it with the data audit and data mining. We'll have a good look at these two processes as well. How do you do a data audit and how do you do a data mining? These are good processes which are a kind of supplementary to your data analysis job roles. There are something called financial analysis. These analysts help financial institutions like bank, share market, and so on and so forth to do better in terms of their day-to-day performances. So here, work with the finance on budget targets, cross verification of a data as per the agreed TOR or time to time or time on response and those kind of scenario. So here we are talking about the pens to be distributed to the cells within the next week. So these are like targets. Targeted sense into achieve certain numbers on certain processes. Like the profitability shouldn't be less than 20%. 500 pen to be dispatched in various outlets in St. Louis. And this way, I build my targets, I build my budget, I build my financial processing in terms of the business profitability as well. And these are normally referred as a financial analyst. We're going to understand financial analysis and financial analyst in depth in our further sessions. Then generate reports, quarterly report, trend analysis report, mean analysis report, and so on and so forth. Again, as per the business requirement, you need to generate specified report as mentioned in your job responsibility or day-to-day work. And this is how we basically create these reports. These reports can be an Excel report, can be a SQL report, can be a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation to be shared on a quarterly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And then we do some sort of a trend analysis, time series analysis, mean analysis, depending upon how the trends are moving, how the averages are improving or decreasing, how the overall time-based progress or negative progress kind of thought processes is showcased by this data which you are studying or which you are continuously collecting day after day. And this is how we normally perform our job responsibilities on a day-to-day basis as a data analyst. Does that make a sense to you? Anything which you couldn't understand, or you might need some better explanation for that a topic on data audit and data mining? We'll have separate sessions, and we'll learn in depth on those things. Right now, let's try to understand. We maintain the data integrity as a data custodian and controller, and to check these integrities, we normally use these two processes, data audit and data mining. Anything else I can help you on with in terms of questions, clarifications?
Sir, I have a question. Can we create the report in SQL?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. There are good number of functionality available in SQL, and we're going to learn those things.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Thank
Even
you.
you can schedule to create reports like with a stored procedure, where these reports are automatically created by the database server. Server is an entity where you can automate tasks. Similarly, even in Excel, you can automate such tasks, and we'll learn those as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Most welcome. Any other questions as of now? There is lots to learn, believe me, but we should basically progress in a miniature step so that we don't miss anything here, right? Yes. Anybody else have any questions, or can I move ahead? Okay, I'll move ahead. Again, don't hold on your question. Let's keep them coming. Again, I have added certain additional thing here. There are some well, these are also repetitive reports which are mentioned here, but again, these are also repetitive reports. So let me skip this slide. It's kind of repetition, I believe. Now here, yes, could you read these things, or do you want me to make bigger? I don't know. Let's go ahead with. Let me read these things for you, and we'll try to understand what are the job responsibilities or description of an analysis in a North American or Canadian context as of now. So what we do, we design, develop, implement, and support mission critical business intelligence. Now, what is business intelligence? We build some intelligence in terms of a repetitive or a periodic data collection. So if my repetitive periodic data is collection showing me in southern St. Louis, I couldn't achieve good number of sales. So I'll concentrate my strategy on northern St. Louis so that I can really flourish my business with all the support. Or if management feels that we should have better alignment in southern St. Louis, I might initiate some sale discount in terms of my southern St. Louis based distributors. And this is way we normally build some business intelligence to support our business growth, to support our top management, to initiate some strategic business alignment for a particular region, for a particular sales strategy. And this is we do keep on a repetitive manner. Like we design, we develop, we implement and support mission critical enterprise business intelligence, reports, Excel report and other tools working with a cross-functional team. So we do work with the cross-functional teams like sales team, production team, the distribution team, the support team and so on and so forth. Depending upon the problems at hand, depending upon the business requirement at hand, I might change my collaboration with other teams in terms of more hours, lesser hours, and so on and so forth. Again, these are the strategic decisions taken by top management for a team of data analysts to work with the cell, to work with the financial teams, to work with other teams as per the need of the business or strategic.
Ravindraji, I would just like to intervene here. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Can anyone just share their understanding when we say what is a cross-functional team? Like teams, I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of, but as Ravindraji is explaining cross-functional team, you have to coordinate and discuss with them and come back with the updates and stuff like that. So anybody has any any understanding, or what do they feel that what strikes a bell when we say the cross-functional team? Anything? Yeah, please unmute yourself and yeah, Hemant.
Sure. I think cross-functional teams meaning different teams working together, through someone from data analysis team, someone from data engineer team, maybe, and on someone from data scientist, and they all come together and work towards something. Probably, I think that can.
Yes, very, 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 very close. Yeah, but almost there. Yeah, somebody else want to try? Maybe Raja, Sneha, Neha, yeah.
Yeah, so cross-functional teams, I guess, is teams working together, and we are collecting data from different teams for our whatever is requirement. Like in case of analysis, might be with the developers and database administrators, kind of. We collect data.
Yes, you all are there. Just to add to that, see, here we have to think from a very holistic point of view. Like when Ravindraji is explaining that data, see, you and me as a data analyst, as a data analysis team is working on data, but that data will be used on an organizational level, right? For example, tomorrow, per se, delivery managers, managing directors, CEOs, they see these trends, they see this data to ensure that, okay, how well we are doing in the market. If the data is related to clients, then, okay, what are the prospectus client we have, how can we capture more industry or more market area? So in this scenario, the data prepared by per se IT or related data analysis team is used by marketing, is used by sales, is used by pre-sales, is used by actual manufacturing, is used by leadership. So you see, these teams, if you have to think work-wise, they have such different agendas, right? Sales team will focus on increasing the number of sales, right? But then the data analyzed by you is worked upon by them. So if they have any doubts, if they want to have more clarification, or if they have any inputs, they'll come to you. So though you are right, talking about different types of different varieties of data analysis scientists or data developers, maybe whatever, but then on a larger scale, it's not only one department or one team. It's like every other team across your, I would say, organization, right? How different marketing and development can be, but yes, they come to a point where they intersect, they sit, they discuss, because ultimately we are definitely codependent. We need data that comes from marketing survey, and marketing survey needs the output of our data. So you get you work as a team. So you understand how the dependencies and why the Ravindraji has been using cross-functional inter teams. Is everybody with me on this? Yes, can you please unmute and say yes, no,
Yes,
if you have any
Yes,
doubts?
yes, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Clarity. Yeah. So if you have any such doubt in any of the terminologies used, see, because it goes with the flow, right? There are many things you might have heard for the first time or might need some clarity. Please feel free to ask. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, Ravindraji, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, here, Ravinder sir,
Good.
here I have one
Please,
more question. The
please go
first
ahead.
line you mentioned that enterprise business intelligence report, right? So
Right.
I didn't get that point. That means the enterprise means that editions, right? Enterprise edition or standard edition
No,
or
no, ma'am.
using that
This is
one or
enterprise means the business, the company.
oh,
See,
okay.
company normally get created to earn profit, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
say company like Guruschools. We normally enact ourselves to generate profit, to create business, to employ people, to generate employment. These are the basic needs of a company. Now, these company are normally referred as an enterprise because they progressively keep growing, they progressively keep improving on their processes to get better in their business qualitatively, quantitatively, earn more profit, spread their wings in terms of first North America, then Canada, then Spain, then Europe, and so on and so forth. So these are the enterprise. The word means a progressive in its the entity is in a progressive nature, and it's a collection of teamwork. So we have 5 people working in the sales, 3 people working as a data analyst. There's one CEO, CTO, MD, and whatnot. All these people work together to build these enterprise, to build these organizations, company, as we normally call in layman terms. Does
Okay.
that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I got it. Thank
And
you.
yeah, whatever you're talking, they're basically a qualitative labels for offers like enterprise deal or enterprise version of a software, which normally depicts the software is suitable for many teams to interact together. And that's what the cross-functional team interaction means. So you
Oh,
are interacting with number of other teams as well. You are a data analyst, but you are interacting with the regional sales manager. You are interacting with the support people who normally support the product with the calls, voice support, and all those things. And similarly, you might interact with the IT team as well, and so on and so forth. This is what the cross-functional team means. Okay.
yeah.
Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I got it. Thank you.
Most welcome. And please keep asking question. Don't leave it to yourself for asking any question. Now here, document reporting requirement to business need. And the simplest example, as we've been discussing, a sales in a particular region. Now, how do you document that? You analyze the historical data in terms of how am I doing on the, let's take the pen example. How many pens do I sold? Are they fine? Means are they in line with the overall targets? Are they below targets, above targets, and so on and so forth? And then I build my production on the similar line, so that if North St. Louis is selling more pens, I'll supply more pens to North St. Louis so that they won't go out of stock, and so on and so forth. Again, these are all reporting mechanism we built to help business to meet the business needs in a progressive or evolutionary manner, day by day, week by week, month by month, as required by the business. How do you do it? We use the skills and experience as the mission information system analyst. These MIS or PMIS, these are basically the system inbuilt in organizations to report their day-to-day progress on a web page or on a tabular manner. There, we normally categorize this table with a red, green, yellow. Red being danger means need a help immediately. Yellow means getting into the danger. Green means going okay, and so on and so forth. So these type of colorful dashboards or coloring we use in our MI system or PMI system. This mission information system is basically a representation created for the top boss understanding of a day-to-day progress of each and every project, progress, support, and all these services the business does on a day-to-day basis. Now we develop or we work with these IT team on building such MIS reports in terms of design, development, test, implement such reports, dashboard using good number of tools, data analytical tools like Power BI or Excel, or even we use something called micros. The VBA micros is a type of functionality we use with Excel in terms of automating certain scenario, like create a copy of Excel sheet, generate the Excel sheet automatically, or basically represent the pivot tables on a real-time updation, and so on and so forth. And this is a kind of, again, a programming we do within our Excel, which is quite easy. We call it VBA macros or VBA scripting. And we're going to learn good number of such macros. Again, good number of such macros are used in day-to-day basis in terms of data analysis automation task. So when a data sheet comes to a storage, these VBA macros get activated and perform some actions within those data Excel sheet so that you get some business-like information automatically without any manual intervention. But sometimes you might require to start these macro on a particular Excel sheet, particular table, particular workbook, for particular Excel file to get the actual business-like inferences out of that data. Again, we're going to learn all these scenario after a few slides, after a few sessions.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. What is
No.
MIS analyst?
MIS analyst, okay. There are a number of analyst jobs in the North American and Canadian market. One of them is PMIS analyst. PMIS or MIS analysts are basically mission information systems. These systems are built to distribute information, to share the status. These these systems are automatic, and they are kind of a software which are built with Excel or with Power BI or with any programming language for that matter, which collects the data from certain directory, from certain Excel sheet, and get that specific amount of data on a web page automatically, on a table automatically. So these MIS analysts are the job who build these script, build these macros. Once you are really experienced in the data analytical automation thing, you can be an MIS analyst as well. MIS analyst can be even infrastructure guys who keep reporting the server, usage in terms of memory, processor. Like your mobile gets hung sometime in terms of too much memory usage, too much application open, your laptop, desktop also get stuck, right? In those scenario, we need to analyze how we can skip this scenario. So whenever you start certain software, you might close all the other software to make sure the system won't get stuck. And these kind of proactive measures also taken by infrastructure MIS analyst. There are good number of analysts who work in a day-to-day basis in a corporate America or corporate Canada. There are business analyst, data analyst, MIS analyst, even risk analyst, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
We are trying to address our candidature as a data analyst as well as business analyst. And that's how we will concentrate more on a business analyst and data analyst as a employee, as a contractor, as a job aspirants. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Thank you. Let's move on. Participates business analyst activities to gather a required reporting and dashboard requirement. Like we discussed, we might need to participate in some discussions in terms of gathering requirement or understanding the business need. At many a time, the business couldn't articulate what they need. So as a data analyst, as a business analyst, I have a couple of meetings with such, top boss to understand what they actually need. I might ask relevant questions and plan an additional meeting in case if that's the need. And that's how we proactively participate, plan meetings in terms of business analysis activities, in terms of data analysis activity to gather more requirement in terms of reporting, in terms of dashboard or creating new dashboard as well. Again, there are MIS analysts, but we support them. All analysts work for a company in terms of a cross-functional team. Then we basically, give me a minute, transition developed report and dashboard to the operation and support team. All these reports, all these dashboard created has to be shared with the relevant people. So we normally do that as well. So what we do, we upload these reports to a cloud common space where everybody can have a look at it. Or whenever you upload such reports to the cloud, the company's organizational website picks that up and basically publish it as a a report on their website. This is a normal progress we do. But in some scenario, we might have to email it or copy that report to a particular target directory. And this is what we do in our day-to-day job as a data analyst. Provide support as required to ensure availability and performance of a developed report and dashboard for all users. Like say in a dashboard, there are some issues, there are some things which the observer, the users couldn't understand. So they might call you, they might email you with their queries. And then you need to reply to their queries as a typical support team, supporting whatever analysis you have done in terms of process and address all the queries and confusion the user has. The user can be a top boss, a user can be an IT user, a user can be your customer as well. Depending upon the scenario, we do address those terminology in technical level as well. Provide training and assistance to the user for the generation of ad hoc reports. Now let's try to understand first thing about ad hoc reports. There are certain things which we might need to change, which we need to add on a real-time basis. So you come to office and your manager says, hey data analyst, could you please process these data on a priority? Please hold on for your whatever work you're doing yesterday. Please continue after getting this report done. And something like this thing do happen in a practical life. These are what we normally call as an ad hoc task or ad hoc report building exercises. Now, such ad hoc report exercises has to be consumed by certain people which they couldn't understand or which they might not understand or gather the clarity from that report. So for them, the data analyst or the business analyst might provide some sort of a training, some sort of a guidance to make sure the users understand these reports, or users need to process this report for their day-to-day task as well. So we do provide some training, we do provide some guidance to such user as well. Design and implement technology best practices, guidelines, and repeatable process. So here we are talking about the continuous improvement within our job as a data analyst. So we do design, we do implement technologies, best practices. So what are the best practices? The practices which let us do the same repetitive work efficiently next time, and so on and so forth. So what we do, we build some guidelines, we build some best practice document to help even other analysts to perform better. And this way, we can basically automate the repeatable process within our organizations, within our day-to-day working, so that we get ample of time to do other important tasks. Then we must be able to perform duties and moderate to a low supervision. So this is basically talks about individual data analysis contributor. So once somebody tells you, please analyze the sales data for a St. Louis region, you should be able to know what you mean by analyze the data. Do they want to share the best performer of the product, the best profit maker product, or something like that? That you should understand, and you will understand after working with them for some time. And this is how we must improve our performance day by day. We must improve our efficiencies day by day with the least possible supervision, least possible time consumption from our reporting authorities. Timeline and accuracy of reports to be maintained at all the time. Many reports are run on daily basis to gather data, or it's a kind of data collection or data inferred mechanism. Like these type of reports, they run or they get triggered by a data analyst on a daily basis. Now we need to understand and build such schedules, or if you can automate, we should be able to automate such report making process as well. Now these are again some of the job responsibility. You might not do many of them, or you might do just one or two of these things. So please don't stress out yourself. I'm just trying to give you a holistic view, a complete view of data analyst job responsibilities or descriptions here. Anything which you couldn't understand, I can explain more. Please let me know. Any confusion?
Sir, I have a question. I saw in many of the job requirements this ad hoc reports thing, reporting. So can you elaborate more on ad hoc reports?
Sure, ma'am. No problem. Ad hoc report, ad hoc tasks are basically tasks which are not pre-planned, or we call them tactical tasks. Like these type of tasks to be completed with the least prior intimation. Like I said, you came to office in the morning and your boss says, "Hey, data analyst, could you please analyze the sales data for St. Louis, and this is very high priority. So please complete it and give it to me, and then you can move to your day-to-day task." This is kind of task inserted on your daily planned schedule, and these are what we normally call ad hoc. Why they call ad hoc? Because this task gets added with urgency, with a kind of insertion to your planning, and that's why they call ad hoc. Now ad hoc reports are the additional report. They might demand you because you're working on that data from forms for some time, right? Let's say you are analyzing sales data from last 2 weeks and you have generated 3-4 reports already, but the sales manager comes to you saying, "Hey, data analyst, I might require this special report for a special region within the St. Louis region. So that could you please filter and build an ad hoc report for, let's say, Unicity City County within St. Louis." And we have to do it because that's the need of the business. We work for the business, right? And for that, we get such ad hoc request, ad hoc report request quite frequently. Might be once in a week, once in a month, depending upon your organizational discipline of planning and strategic flexibility. There could be more or less such ad hoc report. Again, ad hoc report, they come to you on urgency mode. They basically apply to your schedule on a ad hoc basis, not so planned basis or a tactical basis. Okay, does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Got it.
No problem. And please keep asking questions. I want to encourage you more and more to ask questions so that you'll get clarified. And even if you don't feel like asking question, you can WhatsApp me, you can WhatsApp us, and I'll basically answer you. Please have a go ahead,
So,
please.
sir, I have one more question. So, these reports, ad hoc reports, are there like different tools exist for such kind of reports, like only for like ad hoc reports?
Let me give you a simple example, ma'am. Let's say you have invited a couple of your friends. Let's say you have invited 6 of your friends, and whenever you are having a tea, your neighbor walks in, and you need to prepare another tea or cup of tea for him or her, right? This is what we call ad hoc guest or ad hoc work loaded on you on the nth time, and you need to comply to that because that's how we do, that's how we human grow, and this is how we normally refer to as an ad hoc task thrown at me. It consumes time, yes, it will consume time. You need to put some more additional efforts, but yes, this is what the ad hoc actually means in a generic terminology. Pardon me, what's your question again? I couldn't recall.
Yeah, I was asking, are there different like reporting tools for different reports? So for ad hoc reporting also, or like
These are regular reports, only some additional reports.
Okay. Okay.
Normally, ad hoc means the others know you can do it in the least possible time. That's why it came to your table. Otherwise, this ad hoc report might go to some different persons who is doing such reports from last week, days, months, whatnot.
Yeah. Ravindra ji, I would like to give an interesting light example on this. Like for example, imagine if you were having your semester or unit test. Okay, imagine we all are in school and we have our exam, and the pressure is there. You're preparing, and suddenly your best friend or a very close friend calls you and tells you, "Hey, you know what? Do this chapter and do these questions from this chapter. This is important." And you're like, why now? I was planning to skip that, or it's not on priority. And then the friend says, no. I somehow got the feeling while ma'am was talking that this is important. It might come in the exam. Okay. So as per your earlier plan, those questions or that chapter was not that important, or you might have skipped it. But right now, because of the situation, you are taking it on priority and you're completing it. See the difference? Now, this is called as ad hoc, that you did not plan for it, but because of the other situations or environmental situations or sudden ask, you have to work on it. And it can be like one of a scenario, or it can depend on the events a company is having or anything like that. Okay, so this kind of things is generally called as ad hoc work, ad hoc reports, ad hoc meetings. So ad hoc work stands for that. Yeah. And Ravindra, I also wanted to, I hope this is clear with this simple yet funny example, easy to remember. And Ravindra, I just wanted to have a check on the time. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, we are almost at the 11 o'clock. Pardon me for
Almost
stretching
there, yeah.
for a few minutes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks a lot, Prerna, ma'am.
Just to add on to what Prerna said,
Sure.
we could also, I mean, when it comes to ad hoc, we could also say as and when we need something. I mean, the organization needs.
Absolutely right. Properly, mentioned. Yes, as and when it's asked or it's needed, we have to work on it. It's not a regular BAU work.
So this is for a particular request, right?
Particular request, particular event, particular presentation, maybe for a senior meeting. It can be for anything, right? It's something that you don't do on daily basis, but you have been asked for in between, so you're working on it. Simple as that.
Ad hoc is additional. Okay, so let's stop here. As of today, yeah, you were saying something, ma'am. So pardon me for that. Please go ahead. Hello,
No,
you have.
No, I wasn't. Anybody has any questions? If no, then we can definitely end this session with a one sentence on one word feedback for today's session, and we can connect next week. Yeah. So who would like to start today? I guess I can see Harini first. Yeah, Harini, would you like to share how you felt about today's session and nominate someone, please?
It was since it was a beginning basic thing, it was the session was very easy to understand. Yeah, that's about it. It was
Yes, it was easy. So that's actually a good feedback, because we will be glad if you could understand everything easily and you are comfortable with it. So thank you so much. Will you please nominate someone else, Harini?
Neha, please.
It was good, and so much to absorb. We'll go through these things and then again come up with something.
Yes, lot to digest and learn or to respond. Yeah, Neha, rightly said. But yes, please do rewatch this video. I always encourage everyone in my batches to rewatch, because what I feel is, when you are in the session, the trainer is talking, you're listening, you might have something on their desk, so you're a little sleepy or you're just tired of some other thoughts. But when we rewatch the videos, our focus is 100% there. So, you understand some of the topics quite well, quite clearly when you rewatch the video. So request everyone to rewatch the video and come back with their feedback. Okay. Yeah. Please nominate someone, Neha.
Jaya.
Yeah, Jaya.
Hi. Actually, this class is really good. It is so interesting. Really, I don't know how I passed more than 1.5 hours. So it is interesting. It's attempting to revise this topic again. That's really good.
Superb. So happy to see that you didn't know where the time flies. They say when you are happy, that time the time flies. So I'm considering this as a very positive feedback. So thank you so much, Jaya. Please nominate someone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. I would like to nominate Hemant.
Sure, thank you, Jaya. Yeah, today was a very nice session. I learned a lot about the responsibilities and the basics of data, different types of data. So yeah, good to learn all of these things. And
super. Thank you so much, Hemant. Can you please nominate? I think now Sneha is left. Yeah.
Sneha, yep. Sneha.
Yeah. Over to you, Sneha.
Yeah, hi. Actually, the session is very informative and very easy to understand. It's like feeling it's it's like really it's easy to understand now. Things are going better.
So happy that you all can connect and trust us. We have planned all these sessions in such a way that you would have that ease of understanding. You know, it should not be like that it's a very difficult concept, complex things to understand. No, we'll break it down for you. We'll explain the way you understand, and then we'll ask for feedback also. That's the main part of it. You know, that's the reason we have started this feedback thing. And every session, see, there can be a session you might say it was tough, and that's fine, because there can be a situation where concepts might be little in depth. So, you know, what we can do, we can revise, we can revisit, we can have more examples, we can have anything just to ensure that you understand thoroughly. Because tomorrow in an interview or in actual industry scenario, you guys should be capable and confident enough to face, or you know, I would say not only face, to actually surpass or to actually excel in every situation. And that is what happens when you are there in the session and you listen and you understand. So I'm so happy. So my feedback for today's session is super duper informative. Lot many simple yet very important things Ravindra ji, you know, and myself have shared today. They're very important from the organization and work point of view. They are generally considered very simple, that's why I ignored. But no, basic Excel, how to use Excel, cross-functional team, you know, interdependency amongst team, roles and responsibilities, everything is it's super relatable, super realistic, and practical in today's industry. So as I come from this organization where I work on this, so I know how closely connected we are with each other's team. So in all, a superb session, very you know, enjoyable as well as informative. So thank you so much for being there and being so responsive. And now I'm just requesting Ravindraji for his closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, and thanks a lot, everybody. I also enjoyed basically, sharing these thoughts with you. Again, if you have any confusion, any doubts, please feel free to ask us, and we'll progressively learn these data analysts. It's really easy work, believe me. And but yes, we need to understand the technicality, we need to understand the theoretical concept, and we keep doing these practical as well. So my request is, please build this address book here with whatever rows and numbers of columns you want to build. At least have 6 records on that address book, and we'll basically understand or try to revise these things on that address book, and we'll discuss in detail how this address book could be used as a business utility, or a day-to-day life improving knack or life improving skill as well. Okay, so let's meet in our next session, and then we'll dwell more upon on Excel, understand more in terms of how Excel could be used in our day-to-day life, how Excel could be used in data analytical thought process for corporate America and corporate Canada. Okay,
Perfect.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
And Ravindraji, we'll be meeting on next Wednesday, right? Yes, that will be said. Or next when it is, we are meeting next Friday.
Next Friday, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so guys, as I mentioned, due to Ravindraji some personal home situation and others, so we are planning for a session in between. But as of now, the confirmed date is next Saturday. If something works out well, we might have a session, but we'll keep informing you on the group. So as of now, please rewatch this video. You feel free to rewatch other video. I'm really happy to see you guys are asking the Excel path, of where all the videos are stored. So feel free to binge watch that, at your own speed, and come back to us with your doubts. So thank you so much. Wish you all a very happy weekend and a good night's sleep. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Pavitra. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome. Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.